Jar Oil. The company have filling stations across the country, and our rates are relatively cheaper than anyone else across the country. Jar Oil is the biggest producer and distributor of cement in the country with the most competitive prices in the market.
Excellent jam, Suwaib.
Yo, apply. Yo, luta do dede. Luta mo nulo jel mo to nga andil mahalis. Hello?
Bisul mo fine.
What?
Bisul mo fine.
Oh, yes!
Wave Axina Gambia. Deposit and withdraw money, pay bills and buy mobile credit without fees. Transfer money wherever in the country for only 1% fee. At Wave. Bisul mo fine? Wave. Your money is yours.
On Friday, the 10th of October 2025, you're with West Coast Radio and Coffee Time with Peter Gomez. Thanks for joining us. And this morning on Coffee Time, we strike a fresh chord on the program as it returns to its weekly infotainment format. And what better way to climax the week than with a voice that resonates across the Gambia's music scene. Joining us is Modou Sarr, President of the Musicians Union of the Gambia, MUSIGAM. From policy to performance, Modou, as he is fondly known, has been at the forefront of championing artists' rights and shaping the future of Gambian music. He is today's guest. And so without much ado, we say hello and welcome to the program.
Good morning. Good morning, Uncle Peter. Thank you so much for having me. It's really an honor to be able to be here today to have this discussion.
It's an honor to have you on the program.
Thank you so much, sir.
Tell us a bit more about yourself, apart from your name and you being the president of the Music Union, which I have already told our viewers and listeners.
Right. So anyway, my name is Modou Sarr, Modou, of course, fondly called. I am basically from Essau in the north side of the Gambia. And I one person that have, my dad was a teacher, so I had an opportunity to travel across the entire length and breadth of this country. You know, as teachers, when they get transferred, then you get transferred as their children. Absolutely. As well. So
I know I've never been the son of a teacher, but I've seen, my mates whose parents were teachers, how they.
So it actually gave me, it gave me an opportunity to travel across the entire length and breadth of the country to different schools, different regions, and stuff like that. So it actually shaped my understanding, of the society we live in, the people that we live in, and the different types of ethnic groups and all of that. Away from that, I am a realtor. I deal in real estate. Of course, not just the music side alone, but I have, the realtor thing that I'm doing as well. I also work with the National Commission for UNESCO as the president of the National Federation of Gambia Clubs for UNESCO, which of course is affiliated to basically UNESCO, of course in Paris. Also, I think I would just say I'm just that person that is basically into a lot of stuff, because I'm into business as well, but at the end of the day, music has been one of those things that really stand out for me.
And why music?
Well, to be honest, I have never chosen music. That's the best way to say it.
Music chose you?
I think that's the best way I could say it. The reason why I would say that is because, I've never been a musician, even when I was going to school. And when I graduated, then I started working with the Nova Scotia Gambia Association on the Peer Health Education Program. And it gave me an opportunity to meet different musicians from different walks of life. And that was the moment I decided to say, you know what, I'm from Essau in the North Bank region, and music has been so centralized. Why not I take an artist to that particular place to serve as a promoter to see if I could make some money out of this. And this was how I started taking musicians from here, going. I think the first musicians I've done that, which was Nancy Nance at the time. Yeah, so it's Nancy Nance, I think Njai B. the Conqueror at the time, and these are basically the two that I've basically started with. But since then, I've basically been into one or two things into music up to where I am today.
And how would you describe the current state of the music industry from production to promotion?
Well, production to promotion, for me, I think we're progressing. Because there's a lot of new stuff that are coming in, especially in terms of the technology and, of course, the ideology of the people, especially the creatives in that, in that regard. Musicians are not just looking at what is within their limits as we speak, but because I've worked with them, I've seen them go off and beyond, what is within their reach to make sure that their craft in terms of productions in the studio, in terms of production on stage, in terms of the kind of, the quality of sound that they basically put out. And these are very, very important elements that we really, as a country, we have to standardize ourselves so that we could at least be at par, with the other countries.
Mm-hmm. And what are some of the biggest challenges Gambian musicians currently face, and what is MUSIGAM, your union, doing to address them?
I think one of the key problems we have, Uncle Peter, is structures. We cannot really build this industry if we don't really have structures. And we know that government should definitely be at the forefront in terms of providing structures that all these creatives that we have in this country can use and make the most of it, and also enhance their music or whatever creativity that they're into. Unfortunately, though, we don't have it. So one of our reasons, or one of the things that we needed to do as as a pressure group, is to make sure we continue to knock on their doors, for us to continue writing proposals, getting to them, and then telling them, because they invite us to meetings where they want to hear from us. And these are avenues that, as a pressure group, it's our responsibility to make sure that we push those agendas and then make sure that they're able to look at those, yes.
MUSIGAM has been vocal about musicians' rights. So
Absolutely.
what progress has been made on copyright protection and royalty payments?
To be honest, Peter, I think for me, that's one of the things that we are basically lacking. When I talked about structures, I think that is one of the areas that I'm really referring to. One of them is because we already have what we call the Collecting Society of the Gambia. And the Collecting Society encompasses the different artistic associations in this country that comes together to serve as the board for the Collecting Society. But let me quickly say, the Collecting Society's responsibility is to make sure they put up a board, or they put up a secretariat that will be running the affairs of the Collecting Society to be able to collect royalties. Unfortunately, the Collecting Society is just people from different artistic associations who are basically voted in, and by default, now they are serving as, I'm going to call it, they're serving as board members. But again, the problem is, how do we make sure that there is a functional secretariat? Because as per the NCSC Act, it is part of the responsibility of government to make sure that at least government is able to provide us, at least seed money to get started with that. Because you need millions to get that started. You cannot get thousands or whatever that it doesn't work. And you need the office, you need people that will be hired to be in there to keep that office operationalized, at least for 6 to 1 year. That way, they can be sustained, they can sustain themselves, because by the time they start collecting royalties, they would have got enough money equally to be able to have, to keep their overheads going and then keep them going. But unfortunately, we don't really have this. And I think as a part of our responsibility, in fact, I remember there was a time when we just came in, one of the things that we really had to do was all the board members have to say, you know what, all the artistic associations, go back to your artistic associations, speak to them, because then we benefited from, the COVID funds. Each of the artistic association had $250,000, and we said, go dig into that $250,000 and bring it. Let's put it together so that we can start to get these operationalized. But you can imagine if you're talking of millions of dollars just to get something started, and then you're talking about different artistic, let's say 5-6 artistic associations of $250,000 that they have. Of course, we cannot give out $250,000 because we have people that are right behind us that also need to get served out of that 250. So I think for me, government needs to really come on board to make sure that they really have to look at the artistic, the creativity sector of this country very seriously.
Okay, but are you engaging government in such a conversation? And if not, what about the private sector stakeholders, so that they can make music, they can support music to make it a viable career path?
Yeah. No, of course. Just like I said, primarily we want to make sure that government takes responsibility. That's one. Of course, as a pressure group, you have to keep hammering, just to make sure at least they listen.
That's why you're called a pressure group.
Of course, yeah.
You have to apply pressure.
Yeah. So that's one very important thing that we continue to do with regards to government. And of course, because we have the National Center for Arts and Culture, which is our primary arm that we need to work with, of course, in connection to the Ministry of Tourism and Culture, and to that level. Notwithstanding, like you said, we've contacted, and we are already working with different private institutions or private entities that are also very much into the creative industry. Just recently, we have a 5-year project for the creative industry that is already in progress, of course, with the ITC. And I know we have had a series of discussion in terms of having this secretariat in place with all that it needs, to be functional, so that we can start collecting royalties for our artists. And I'm not the president of the Collecting Society, so I think I will leave that to him. But I can tell you that I know that there is a lot of discussion. There is an advanced discussion regarding that, so that we can actually get some money, if not all, from the ITC to be able to, get the secretariat and get the board functional.
And does Unigam engage with young emerging musicians who may not yet be members of the union?
Yeah, of course. Primarily, one of our functions is to make sure that we support emerging artists in what they do, because you have a lot of talent in this country. And when you go around, you see all these young people in their different corners working in studios. You see how much effort they put into this. So definitely, we always make sure that we try to reach out to them, organize trainings for them. Even artists that are basically established in this country. So we organize training, we invite them. The idea is for us to keep continuing to remind each other of what we need to do, what structures we need to have around ourselves as artists, so that we can be able to be functional, in our way. Not just you come there, be able to hold the mic and then sing, because the industry in itself goes beyond just the artist that stand in front of people and sing. That's a whole lot. There's a 360 behind that person that actually runs what they do and how they do it. And all those are key stakeholders in what we do. But definitely, yes, emerging artists are people that we support in terms of what they do. Also creating opportunities for them to have platforms to perform and also showcase their talent. Yeah.
And for those of us who only see the front man or front woman, tell us about all these other, people behind the scenes that we don't, factor when we listen to music.
Yeah. So I think one of the key things that I think that part might not be really hitting, and that is the producers in the studio. These are people that you go to, they're able to make you beats, and they're able to record you and put it in, mix, master, so that you have a final product that you can put out for people to listen to. Now, that's where the kitchen is, in essence. That's where you cook everything in the studio. You can have your concept of what music you want to do, you can write your lyrics or whatever, but at the end of the day, you have to end up in the kitchen, and which is the studio. So once you get in there, of course, that's the producer. That's primary. That's one person that is very, very primary in what you do. Some people can write songs for you. We call them songwriters. Some musicians can be songwriters, but they could also be singers. You can be the person that sings, but you could also write your own songs as well. But I know there's a lot of other artists that are not probably able to write their song. Even if they are able to, sometimes they would want to buy. They listen to a particular, or they've seen a script that you've written down, and they feel like, oh yeah, I could really do something on this. They could easily buy it from you, get all the rights from you, and then get into the studio. So that is one side of it. And then you come to the promoter side of it. When you do music, you want it to be out there for people to listen. So you really need to make sure that the promoters are involved in what you do. The radio DJs, the presenters. You want to make sure that whatever music that you have, wherever it fits in terms of the different programs and activities that they do, you want to get it to those people. So you need to also be able to map out this particular music that I have, which particular presenter have a program that connects or that resonates to this. And that is primarily important. And I think having a management which will look at your music 360 and determine if this is something that we can take to Uncle Peter, for the coffee time.
Oh, that's a bad place to go. we do more talk here than music.
Exactly. Exactly. But, it's very important to have those elements, especially the management that determines what exactly you are into, what sort of brand is that particular pushing. And also you have, the live performing. When you get to the live performing, you need to get a band to come and perform for you. Most of the artists in this country don't really have a band that is stable and right behind them.
That's a problem MUSIGAM needs to work on.
That is a big, big problem, Uncle Peter. That is a big, big problem. I tell you what, myself, I'm a musician and I play instrument. And,
which of the instruments?
Drum set. I play drum set, yeah. So what really happens, again, just coming back to the question before we come to this, is, you have the musicians that you will have to hire for them to keep playing for you in terms of what songs that you need, which means you got to rehearse. If you have to rehearse, you need to have a rehearsal ground. That's another particular place that got to be catered for, no matter what it is. The artists, when the musicians come for rehearsal, you have to pay for their transportation. You have to pay for the service for that particular show. So I'm just trying to tell you, from there to you go to the concert in itself, the sound system, that's another set of thing. The production in terms of concert, sound, light, stage. This I think in the country, that is one of the key areas that we have had so much problem, especially with, I wouldn't really say artists have everything that it takes, especially the people that we've seen up there, because we all struggle in one way or the other. And I think being in the music industry, it's very right for us to say that we are struggling. Let's face the realities, and then we see opportunities that we can canvas to make sure that we are able to do what we needed to do. But if you look at the sound system guy, the light guy, the stage guy, the venue, Uncle Peter, we have venues in this country that are costing $250,000 for a concert, for a night. Come on, like, how many of our artists or musicians are able to pay that kind of money, you know, for just one night? And how much?
ST would have no problem paying that.
Definitely, ST wouldn't have any problem with that. ST would definitely.
Jaliba Kuyate will have no problem.
Jaliba Kuyate would not have no problem with that. You know, and I know United, you know, a couple of other artists that might not have problems with that. But for me, it's always a gamble. You know, it's always a gamble, and I think I've always said this, and I'm really going to say this, Uncle. I wanted to say that we really need to also look inwards as a country. Because most of the time, for me, I'm a fan of let's do good music. Let's do good music and then sell what we do. But at the end of the day, it's the ear that actually listens and have an understanding. And the more the ear listens, you know, subconsciously, you like something even when, you know, you don't like it, you know, from the initial stage. And that is where things like radio, the video clips that we do come into being. But most of the time, if you look at our radios and you look at our televisions, the percentage of Gambian music that basically plays on our radios, on the televisions, is very, very minimal. I think right now it's actually, we're seeing so much progress in this area. Because I know from the onset, when I was going to school, we have Bombastic, West Coast Radio, which I've basically followed him for the longest time to listen to all the Gambian music thing that he does and all of that. So I think right now we have a lot of DJs that are getting into that, promoting Gambian music. But before now, it has not been the case. And I think even with that, we still have a lot of room for improvement that we need to do. But definitely, it's a problem for musicians.
The question then becomes: do you see opportunities for Gambian music, to break into international markets?
Of course, yes, I do.
So what's holding us back then? Because that's yet to happen. I've spoken to so many artists here so far, as you can know, as you would tell.
Sure.
But even when they say, when they travel abroad to play to audiences, their audiences are literally local.
Right.
Either Gambians who, emigrated to the West, or children of Gambians who were born here.
True. I think the bigger picture is, Uncle, I've always said this when I have a discussion with, just recently we had a discussion with ITC to look at our problem, and we also have one that is coming very soon. The idea of having Gambian promoters in the diaspora, organizing big concert for other artists that are coming from other countries and forgetting Gambian musicians, Gambian artists to headline those events.
Oh, that's what's happening.
No, that's exactly what's happening. I'll tell you this, because I'm sometimes with this, when I'm into music, I'm a little bit unfiltered regarding to certain
That's what we need.
Oh, absolutely.
We need to know.
Oh, absolutely, Uncle. For example, we have so many Gambian cultural weekends or Gambian whatever in the diaspora that are existing. These are Gambian-oriented events. They are basically organized by Gambians. But unfortunately, Uncle, I could tell you that most, I'm going to say 99.9% of them, are all only bringing other artists from other countries to headline those events that are Gambian organized, Gambian owned, to headline those. And then they bring, for example, a Gambian artist and then said, you're going to come to be a supporting act, which means you open the concert as an opening act. You see, there are some of these events that are already known, like they already... For me, the brand is already there. It's sold. Please let me say this in Wolof. So in the Bongo Aktamasa Hadafadem. Okay. So I think it's important for us to also look inwards. There is nothing wrong. What is wrong with taking an ST, put him in a plane with a full band, and take him to any of these Gambian events, whether you like it or not, it's still going to be sold out. But unfortunately, you would rather take a Senegalese band from Senegal with 20, 30 of them. I'm going to say this for exaggeration. I know it's 20 or more.
Yeah.
Right. Bring everyone, including influencers, to just take pictures and all of that. pay for their airfares, pay for their accommodation, and bring them, feed them for the duration of their stay. But you cannot even allow one Gambian artist to come over there with their manager.
Oh, wow.
That's, as a country, I think we really need to look at ourselves. And these are the same people that will come and say, we're supporting Gambian. Or you an artist, they approach you and say, well, I want to take you, but we want to take you for the first time. Why don't you and
then you go and do playback.
This is the thing. You go do playback. At the end of the day, what is crazy again is, and this one, I have to really touch on our people. You see a Gambian artist performing, and all people do is just sit over there. And watch, So I feel that we really need to do a lot, If we really want to, if you look at, because I don't really like naming countries, but if you look at other countries around us and how much, there is no way that they organize anything outside that they will take a Gambian to even be a part of it. That is the reality. Not even in their own country. So at the end of the day, we really, the young people that we have that are struggling to make ends meet out of music. Because, Uncle, this is sometimes I talk about this, I get emotional. Because I cannot understand somebody put his last money into a studio, invest so much into this music, provide that person an opportunity to travel. You feel like just pull Guinea Kukufi, beg the person to go to Europe, America, or wherever, just to go and perform 3 tracks and come back, you're helping that person. It goes beyond that. Of course, that is always a first time. But what is wrong with us having a Gambian event that is headlined by Gambian musicians, organized by Gambian promoters in the diaspora? Uncle, all Senegalese musicians basically that go outside to perform for all Gambian events are organized by Gambian promoters. Let's be honest, and that's the reality. So I want to just implore on all of them. If it's the business side, I'm sure the Gambian can give us that right now. So I don't think it's about quality anymore. I think it's about believing in them. And if we are able to believe in these artists, if somebody can feel Q City out here, if you do enough promotion for 6 months...
Well, somebody is filling the Independence Stadium, I am told.
Exactly. No, of course it's true. Now, it depends on what promotion you do. If you invest that much into promotion, you will definitely get what you want. Sure. So I think that's where we really need to also work on a lot.